Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us at the Microsoft Power BI UK user group. I'm your host Leon Gordon. We're back again for what should be a fantastic opportunity to come together as a community and learn more about our favorite tool, which is Power BI. Unfortunately, as you'll notice, I'm not joined by my co-host Pragati Jain this evening. Unfortunately, she hasn't been able to make it with us. But with that being said, we're still going to be in for a fantastic session. As always, please do let us know where you're joining us from, whether you are actually based in the UK and have had some wet and breezy weather like myself, or whether maybe you're in more of a warmer climate and you're joining us from somewhere else in the world. Please do let us know. We want this to be a fully interactive session, so please do feel free to ask questions throughout. We'll do our best to make sure we answer them for you. So in today's session, we're going to be looking at using mobile features of Power BI with fellow Microsoft Data Platform MVP, Ben Howard. So I'll just give you a brief introduction to Ben before I pass over to him for his session. So Ben has over 25 years of consultancy experience implementing IT solutions to solve business problems across all sectors. During this time, Ben has worked for several key industry organizations, including Microsoft and Dell. As I mentioned, Ben has been a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, so an MVP for the last 14 years, and has also published over 15 courses at Pluralsight, to which I will give you a link within the chat very shortly. His client-facing work focuses around using Project and Power BI to enable organizations to better manage their resources, projects, or to just visualize their data. So with that being said, Ben, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, how are you doing?
Fantastic, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, very well. What a fantastic introduction. I must have written that to make myself sound grander than I am.
It definitely worked, and like I say, we are very privileged to be in your company this evening. So thank you very much for joining us for today's session.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. We do have, like I say, people joining us from all over the world. So we do have people joining us from Canada by the looks of it. So John, welcome. We've also got Nibosha, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, from the northeast of England as well. So really good to have you all with us. And Ben, what I can do is hand over to you for your session.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent.
And welcome to everybody from around the world. Hopefully the weather is a bit better with you than it is in the UK. Right, so let's just not share that screen, which is a picture of me, but rather share this one. Introduction to Power BI Mobile. So we have just about 50 minutes, so let's crack on with this. Okay, so just to augment Leon's fantastic introduction, that's a photo of me taken a few years ago when I had some hair. I don't have so much hair now. I didn't even have much then. But I've been a Microsoft MVP for 14 years, mainly because you will know Power BI hasn't been around for 14 years, right? It's been around for about 6 now. So for the majority of that 14 years, I was a Microsoft Project MVP. And that in itself was good. And I got into Power BI because we used to store and still do store project data in the cloud. It was known as Project Online. Now it's known as Project for the Web. And the way we would visualize that was by bringing that data into Power BI. Well, first of all, we brought it into Power Pivot, which was the granddad of Power BI, if you like, grandfather of Power BI. And we would visualize it in Power Pivot, and then of course Power BI came out and we all jumped on that. And what I found was that actually I was enjoying the Power BI work much more than I was enjoying the project work. So that's kind of where I got started with Power BI 5-6 years ago. A quick correction for Leon, it's now 20 courses that I've published for Pluralsight, some of them on project. The latest one is to do with the data platform DP 500 exam from Microsoft. I think that was published last week. Okay, so there are my details. I know Leon will share those with you as well. Feel free just to catch me on LinkedIn, or if you've got any questions specifically, just ping them to ben@applepark.co.uk and I will do my best to answer those. Okay, So that's a little bit about me, which isn't the important bit. This is the important bit, the Power BI mobile app. Okay, so we all have mobile phones and other mobile devices, and my young kids really don't have a computer anymore. I say young, they are late teens and early 20s, but they've always been brought up with mobile phones and devices, and they would rather use those devices than open up a laptop, right, and look at a report or something. And they've taken that with them into their business world as well. They're both working now, and so that's really what they use in the business world. So we should think about, with that in mind, and the way the world is changing, we should think about, how do we use the Power BI mobile app? And actually, do we even think about the Power BI mobile app when we're developing or when we develop Power BI reports? Okay, because it has some advantages. Okay, so let's just kind of talk about those. They're going to be around data caching, collaboration, etc. And this is going to be what I'd like to think is a demo-laden presentation. Of course, demo-laden presentations are always fun because things can go wrong, but that's a fun part of them. Okay, so let's talk about the Power BI mobile app. It's available, obviously, for the main two platforms. First one we think about is the Apple platform. So we have iPhones, iPads, and iWatches. Yes, you can get a Power BI report on an iWatch. I would like to see you zoom into that, but it's available. And obviously, you can also get the Power BI mobile app for Android devices, so Android phones and tablets. Okay, now what about Windows 10, I hear you say, especially those older people who used to have a Windows 10 phone, such as me. There was Windows 10 phone support until March last year, so that's disappeared now. I don't know what Microsoft are doing with Windows phones anymore, whether they're even a thing anymore. Okay, maybe they've just given up in that market. So probably they have, which is why the Power BI team have stopped supporting the Windows Phone app. Okay, so let's chunk this slide on here. How do we view reports using a mobile app? Well, this is what it was like 18 months ago in 2021. So we'd take our report down on the lower right there, and we'd publish that up to app.powerbi.com. And in the usual way, assuming it's not a direct query, it publishes both the data set and the report. And then we can go and query that report using something like a tablet. And depending upon the orientation of the tablet, then the report might change. Okay. And we can do the same with a mobile phone. So we can take our mobile phone at the bottom there, and we can see that report in the horizontal mode. Let's just bring up a little laser pointer here. So if we look at this report in the horizontal mode, then it's the same report as we've got here. Okay, it looks exactly the same, it's just kind of smaller. And we could optimize our reports then for this portrait mode in a mobile phone. Okay, so if you wanted to look in your report horizontal, you were fine on a small form factor device. If you wanted to look at it in portrait mode, that was fine, so long as you had optimized the report. So that's what we needed to do. We needed to optimize our views in portrait mode so that they're optimized for the mobile app. Okay, if they weren't optimized, then we used to get an error which basically said you cannot view this report on a mobile phone in portrait mode. Okay, and you had to turn your mobile phone round into landscape mode. Okay, that changed a little while back. Okay, and Microsoft then allowed you and enabled a pinch and zoom piece of functionality in portrait mode. So it really depended, or really it didn't matter anymore in terms of viewing the report, whether you optimized the report into mobile mode or not. Okay, you can still optimize them. Okay, So we can still have this optimized view, and I would very much suggest that you think about that, and I'll give you a demo around that. Okay, so Pension Zoom is available in the latest mobile app. Okay, what else does the mobile app do for us? Well, let's just think about data and network connectivity. Right, I live in the UK, so pretty much I've got good connectivity to the mobile app pretty much all of the time. Unless I happen to be walking in the Highlands of Scotland, or maybe I'm somewhere remote on some customer plant site somewhere. So what I mean is a production environment, and I've not got access to Wi-Fi because maybe there's a security issue there. Okay, or maybe I don't have 4G network simply because of the remoteness of the production facility that I'm at. Okay, so what happens is by default, Power BI will cache 250, or the Power BI app, the Power BI mobile app will cache 250 megabytes of data. Okay, so it does that over the network, and it will cache basically your favorites. So if there is no network, if the network goes down, and we have a question mark on the network, or the network isn't very clever, either Wi-Fi or 3G, then we still have access, even though we are not online, to any dashboards that we've favorited and any dashboards and reports that we've viewed in the last 2 weeks. So if you're on your Power BI mobile app, even if you're not on it, and you favorite a dashboard, it will download that dashboard. Okay, by default, over Wi-Fi, it will download that and refresh it every 2 hours. And if you're on 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever you happen to be on, but on a mobile network, then that refresh will happen every 24 hours. So the Power BI mobile app actually gives you offline capability, gives you the ability to, let's just say you're a sales guy and you're going to travel on a plane as we used to in the old days, or you're going to travel on the train somewhere. You pick up your iPad from your home. It's refreshed overnight. You get to your client site, you switch your iPad on, and you can go and query the reports as they were this morning. Okay, regardless of whether you've got any network connectivity or not. Okay, so that's the kind of scenario about that. Okay, so that's network connectivity for using the mobile app. Okay, how do we design for mobile? Okay, so again, I think about this quite a lot when I'm designing mobile Power BI reports. So obviously, we always start in this sort of high definition, is it 1980 by 1270 resolution? So we start from that standard landscape report, and then I will go and create a mobile portrait using all or a subset. Very often it's a subset of the existing visuals. Okay, so I don't drag them all on there. We've got a much smaller format for a mobile view than we have on a desktop. Then I think about, which visuals work well for touch and for the portrait mode, because not everything works well on the touch device. Okay, especially if you've got kind of big sticky fingers and a small format device, it's difficult sometimes to select a data point. So you might want to think about displaying the data differently in a different format or in a different visualization for a mobile layout than you would in a normal report layout. Okay. And then we might go, and once we've reviewed that, we might go and adapt and adjust existing visuals, or replace existing visuals, or even go and create new ones. Okay. So what do I mean by that last one? Well, let's have a look. Here's a demo report. Okay. This is just it's a demo sales data you get with Microsoft. Actually, they give you 703 rows in an Excel spreadsheet. It's installed when you download the Excel file, when you download the Power BI desktop rather, and so it's dead easy to get rid of. And this might be my report for the desktop, which plainly it was, and I might have had a drop down slicer like that. Okay, drop down filter. That's fine when I've got access to a mouse, but if I'm using a mobile device, then that might look much better as something that presented as a set of buttons that I can actually touch and go and touch and select those buttons: France, Germany, Ireland, Spain, UK, etc., rather than trying to get my finger on a little square in the drop down list there. Okay, so let's just go and have a look at that. Okay, let's go and bomb over to the first demo, which is this one. Okay, so on here, you can see I've got various tabs. Okay, so this is a standard Power BI report, which you might build. It's got the usual visuals and it's got the usual interaction on there. It's not a particularly sexy report. It just does what it says on the tin. Okay, if we were going to go and publish that for a mobile, then I would go into View or go and create a mobile layout. I'd go into View and I'd click on Mobile Layout. Okay, and in the mobile layout, effectively what you do is you start with a blank canvas, as you would expect, and then basically you drag the icons or the visuals from the page visuals here. So the visuals already have to exist, and then you can resize them and put them on your mobile. Okay, now this is the visual that I said I might want to change. Okay, and I'm going to change that and I'm going to create a button visual. Okay, so how would I do that? Well, if I come out of mobile layout, you have to be a bit sneaky about this. What I tend to do is if I want a visual on a mobile page, or rather the only way I know of doing this, if I want a visual to appear on a mobile page, but I don't want it on the normal page, then I have to put it on the normal page, but hide it, right? We know how to do that because we've got the selection button up here. So let's just take this, okay? Let's remove the filter, but that's my slicer. Let's just copy and paste that. So I can home, copy and paste. Control-C, Control-V works just as well. And let's just resize that slightly. And I'm going to turn that away from a filter with a horizontal selection of buttons through to a slicer that has currently has a vertical selection of buttons. I'm going to change it to be horizontal. Okay, and then I get my section of buttons. Okay, but I don't want to display that section of buttons, which I'm going to use on the mobile report on this page. So I kind of need to hide it, and I can hide it just by changing the layer order. Okay, we'll put that down to the bottom there, and that's now hidden behind this visual here, so we'll never see it. It's called Slicer. I'm just going to rename this. Always good to rename your visuals if you can. And I will call this button Slicer. Okay, so that's its name. I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to leave it there. I'm then going to click on View and then Mobile Layout for this page. And you can see I've now got the button slicer over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this vertical slicer. I'm going to drag the button slicer into here. Okay, and that's going to be much more user-friendly for my big fat fingers. So let's just see if that works. Okay, let's go back to the mobile layout, or rather the normal page layout. We'll just click on Home, and we'll go and publish this. Okay, so nothing too new on this. You all know, I'm sure, how to publish. Let's just get this going. Okay, I'm going to put it in my presentations workspace. It should tell me I've already got one in there. Yeah, so we're going to replace this report, and it's going to, or this data is going to impact one report and one dashboard. So let's just go ahead and publish that. Okay, whilst that's publishing, I'm just going to bring up a Windows Connect. Okay, so here's the Connect app. And I'm going to connect my mobile phone to this Connect app. Okay, so let's do this. So I've moved away from my Windows. I've actually got my mobile phone in my hand, and I'm just bringing up, this is a Samsung Galaxy, and I'm just going to connect my Samsung Galaxy S8, so it's an old phone, right, to my screen so that you can see it. Okay, so this is my real live phone. So I'm just going to scroll to the right, and on there I've got a Power BI app. So top left there, so let me click on there. That opens up the Power BI app. And you can see I've got, this is the app. So I've got some frequency in here. We can scroll over to the left and have a look through the frequency. Okay, I've got some recents. It shows me nice pictures of all of these reports. Right at the bottom, you can see I've got a home button. Next to that, I've got a favorites button. I've got apps, workspaces, and more. Okay, so let's just click on the favorites because I do think I favorited this. And I did, and it's called sales data. So it's this one at the bottom. Okay, so here's my, here's my report. It's done it straight away. Here's now my new buttons. Okay, so let me show you this first of all. If I move my phone into non-portrait view, as in horizontal view, then the report runs as you would expect it to run. Okay, so I can scroll up and down, and I could select, if I've got good enough fingers, from the slicer on the left hand side there. If I now turn my phone around, then I'm looking at the optimized view of this report. Okay, that's one I've just created, and now I've got some bigger buttons, and if I was just interested in sales for Germany, I could click on Germany and everything just works. Okay, so that's that shows you sort of that trick on are my visuals useful. If I drop down the actual report pages, then you can see the page in the middle there, which is called Sales General, where the arrow's pointing to. Notice that's got a little mobile phone on the icon. That means that page has been optimized for mobile view. Okay, come back to Smart View. Yep. If I select the one above, it's called Summary. It doesn't have a mobile view. And so now this is where pinch and zoom has been enabled. And you can see at the bottom, it says rotate your device to view the report in landscape mode. So again, we could view that in landscape. Okay. Or I'm going to turn it back into portrait. Okay. And then I can pinch and zoom into specific parts of that visuals if I wanted to. Other things we could do is we could add a comment on there. So at the bottom, I've got comments, so we can go and add new comments and have a conversation with people on the team about this. Let's have a look at more. I can go and annotate this. So let's just take a little bit of, assume I had a pen. And I'm going to put Y on that question mark there. So why are we doing that? And then I'll go up to the share icon at the top right, just below my battery. And maybe I want to go and share this with my group on WhatsApp or Outlook or some other way. Okay, so really quite useful in terms of being able to collaborate and send screenshots around of pieces of data, etc. Okay, so let me come out of there. Let's stop that screen sharing. Let's get rid of that. Turn that off. Okay, and come back out of there. Oh, yeah. Okay. So far, Leon, do we have any questions, or are we all good? Questions?
We do have one question coming in, slightly off topic, but in
Go for
response to the point you raised earlier. So it comes in from a LinkedIn user, and they ask how to prepare for the PL 300 exam.
PL, I have no idea what that exam is. Is that a Power Apps exam?
I do not know off the top of my head either. I can find out.
Okay, you find out and then we'll work it out. But I think, the answer to that is Google. It's how you prepare
So,
for these things.
the PL 300 is the new Microsoft Power BI data analyst cert.
Oh, gosh, I wasn't aware of that. Because I thought they'd change that to be a different name. Well, I'm going to give a shout out for Pluralsight because I've done a lot of Pluralsight work around some of these exams. And even though the exam names may change, some of the topics generally don't. So Pluralsight have some learning paths. So I would have a look at Pluralsight. They have various free weekends if you don't already have a subscription or your company doesn't have a subscription. Obviously, Udemy do stuff as well for, $50 or $100 a course or something like that. So there's the official course places. Other than that, you can go to Microsoft Learning. Microsoft Learning do some stuff for free. And you can read the whole of the kind of domain environment, what they're going to test you on, etc. in that exam. So you and I should have really known about PL 300, shouldn't we?
We should, but in our defense, I think that Microsoft have changed the names quite a lot frequently.
Oh yeah.
In terms of the certs. So there's nothing better than a little Google, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Excellent. And that's all the questions for now, Ben. Thanks.
Brilliant. Okay, so I've already talked about socializing reports as a mobile app feature. We've got some, geographical filtering. So what does that mean? Well, it means, again, let's take my sales example. But it's not, necessarily the best example. Let's take an example where I have a Power BI report that is monitoring air quality. Okay, and I'm able to determine where I am. So I live in the north of England, right? So let's just say I'm in the middle of Manchester, and I've got lots of data feeds from different cities feeding into, let's just say it's feeding into the Dataverse or into a data warehouse. It's feeding the air quality maybe once a minute. And then I'm bringing out a Power BI report that gives me that data feed. So I can see the air quality across the UK. Now, let's assume I have my iPad with me, which is an iPad, but obviously it could be any mobile device. I can then use that mobile device because the mobile device knows where I am, right? Because it has a geographical locator on it, it's a GPS, and we can triangulate it also based upon 3G towers, etc. So if I've set up my data correctly, I'm able to just say, hey, let's have a look at the data quality where I am now. I don't even have to know where I am, right? I don't have to choose Manchester or a postcode or choose my place on a map. I can just go, give me the location of where I am now. Okay. And it will filter that Power BI report based upon that geographical data, which is pretty cool. Most mobile devices as well have this cool thing called a camera. I'm old enough to remember when mobile devices didn't have cameras. First one I had a camera you plugged in at the bottom. I was working for a company called Microsoft at the time. And we got these cool cameras and cool devices. But every device now comes with a fantastic camera. We can utilize that camera for bar code and QR code scanning. So I'll show you that. And finally, I've put this on the favorites. If we put something as a favorite, then we cache that data. Okay. So very quickly, let's just cover off these slides. How do we comment, annotate, and share a report for a visual? I'm not going to do another demo on this because we just kind of did it, but we can take a snapshot of a tower report visual. We can comment, annotate on it, send it any way we want. Okay. And that's just kind of neat. Okay. And there's a whole section on Microsoft Docs about what you can do for that. The geographic location's much more interesting. It's not much more interesting. It's just perhaps gives you a different view on how you could utilize some of your reports if you have got geographical data. Okay. So the app uses your location to filter the data, and we have to categorize the data as being geographical. So, and it has to ultimately be searchable by probably, I think, Bing Maps. So we have to take it to the Bing API, and then it works everything out. Okay, so we have to have, or we have to be in one of the locations that exists in our data set. So if I'm, I'll show you later on, I'm going to filter for the UK. But if the UK wasn't in the data set, obviously it wouldn't work. Or if I happen to be in Italy, Italy isn't in my data set. So again, it kind of wouldn't work. Makes sense. But that's let's state the obvious. Okay. And here's one of these things. I'm very aware not to do this for everything, but you have to let the Power BI app have access to your location. So it's got to go and get at the phone's data. Okay, so let's go and nip over to, in fact, let's nip over to this data here. So what you can see is we've got sales data here. As we know, if we expand that, then you can see that I've got country. Country I have set as a category of data. Okay, so the data category for the country is country. And here are my countries: France, Germany, Spain, France, Germany, Ireland, Spain, and the United Kingdom. So I've categorized my data as being geographical. When you categorize it as geographical, it gets a little globe next to it. Okay, so that's what we've done. And we already know I've published this report, right? So let's just open up Connect again. Come on, Mr. PC. There we go. There's my laptop. Let's connect to that with my phone. Hurrah! Okay, so we can use this report for this. Okay, this is our non-optimized one. I'll just turn this around a little bit. Okay, so what can we do on here? Well, remember on here, I don't actually have the filter on this page, but what I am able to do is at the bottom, I've got a button that says more at the bottom right there, and that brings up this menu. At the bottom left on the menu, notice I've got something called Geo Filter. So I'll select Geo Filter. Okay, and then it has a look through the locations and it says, hey, Ben, we can filter this for all locations, or I see you're in the United Kingdom. Okay, so let's just go and click on only United Kingdom and have a look at those sales figures at the top. So we've got total sales of 119. So when I select only the United Kingdom, I'm now filtering that sales data for the United Kingdom. Italy or Germany, Ireland, etc. didn't come up because, let's face it, I'm not in Germany or Ireland. I'm going to the US next week, so I'm going to do this demo in the US. Let's just pick that back up on the more on the bottom there. So let's pick up that menu. Okay, click on Geo Filter, and let's just go and filter back for all locations. Okay, and we're back away from 25 million as our total sales to 119 million. Okay, so that Geo Filter works really well. Okay, nice bit of kit, and just allows us to have a little play around with another tool. Okay, so that's all well and good. Let's just get out of that. Okay. So filtering by geolocation is good. Barcodes and QR codes. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, let's talk about barcodes first of all. So what we're able to do is we can scan a barcode to filter a report. Okay, and we need to set this up in the desktop app, basically. We need to say that one of our data items, one of our data points is the barcode. Everything today that we buy has a barcode, and you might have plant or materials in a production system that also have a barcode, or a machine that has a barcode, and you read the barcode, and lo and behold, from the barcode, you can get lots of information about that machine, such as when it was last serviced, what asset value it is, which cost center owns it. All of that little lot is available, and you can get ruggedized barcodes and stick them on. You know, you can. I've seen locators stuck on trees, okay, in arboretums. So, you know, not necessarily the nicest thing, but perhaps we stick a barcode next to the tree on a label, and we can then find out things about that tree. Okay, so you know the applications of this are immense. QR codes similar, but QR codes, you generally generate a QR code and you are then taken to a report. It's not a filtering piece, it's to take you to a report, okay, or a dashboard, okay. And obviously we scan that in the map, and we scan that on our phone, but these QR codes are generated in the Power BI service. So again, well, let's just take me through. Now, I'm not going to, the slides, if we want the slides, I don't know if you want the slides, Leon. The slides go through kind of setting this up. But let's go and nip over instead to my barcode demo. That should be the one. Hey, great. Okay, so we can see I've published this recently. So here is my very simple demo for this. Okay, let's just go into transform data and have a look what we've got. We've got a slow running machine, I know that much. Okay, this is all simply done in-house from you can tell I'm rattling one of my products I'm going to look at later. But all I did for this was I went to my store cupboard and I had a look around my office, and I picked up some interesting things, and I went and entered them directly in the source here just for this demo. Okay, and you can see this is very easy. Every product has a barcode, so this is what I effectively typed in. That's the SKU number, if you like. Price, description, and size. They're all just made up items. The important thing is the image URL. If you want to display the image, okay, the image URL needs to be in a public place that you can get at. Okay, so I put mine on Dropbox. So I just took a photo, uploaded it to Dropbox, and then in order to do this demo, you just really need to change this little bit at the end to be $raw equals 1, which means that you're not opening up that in any browser. Okay, so that was all we did in here. And then within the products, then all we've got is a barcode which has a data category of barcode. Okay, dead simple. Okay, so that's how it's set up, and then you just publish this. Okay, in terms of the visuals that we've got on here, let's go and have a look actually at the mobile view of this, because that's how we're going to be running it, right? I've just got that image visual at the top, which is just going to display me. Remember, we're going to use the barcode to filter. So when I scan a barcode, it's going to filter this list. So it's going to give me the displayed image of whatever I've filtered, display the title of that product, and give me the price. Okay, dead simple. Okay, so that's all we've got on that. So that one's called barcode. So let's just go and connect again. Whilst we're connecting, Leon, any questions that we can answer?
Yes, indeed. So we do have a question coming in from Abhinav, I believe it is, and they ask, did you try the app's augmented reality feature on iOS?
No, it's dead simple, isn't it? I don't own any iOS devices. I'm an Android guy. So no, and I don't do a lot of stuff in augmented reality simply because I've not had time to play with it. And I think I'm not a gamer. I don't wear headsets for anything. So I'm just kind of not at that edge of things, if that makes sense. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's really nice. But no, I haven't. Have you?
Yeah, definitely. I think we should ask the wider audience as well. So, if you have used the app's augmented reality feature, not just on iOS, but in general, then please do drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts on the functionality.
Cool. Okay, so back to Power BI, back to my desktop, back to my mobile phone. You can see my top favorited item is barcodes. These are, it's not because it's my top item, it's because these are displayed alphanumerically, and B comes before barcodes comes before anything else. Right, so let's click on there, excuse me, go and select barcodes, and this loads the report. There's the visual page on that. Now, because the data has a field in there whose categorization is set to barcode, then you can see at the bottom, I've got a little barcode item, bottom left there. Okay, so let's just go and switch barcodes on. Okay, so I'm going to click on there. So what's this going to do now? Well, this now, you're looking at my live camera and you're looking at kind of where I'm working. So over here, if I bring this in, I've got a can of cherry tomatoes. And if I just scroll this round, somewhere on here, there's a barcode. There it is. It was right at the bottom. Scanned that really quickly. You can see what's happened on the report is that it has gone and filtered the report just for cherry tomatoes. Okay, let's go and reset that. So to the right of barcode, there's a little reset button. We'll reset that. I don't need to click reset, but I'll just click reset to go through the whole lot. I'm going to wave around now under barcodes again. I'm going to open that up. I've got a still what do we call this, strimmer? Okay, and these are little things for the strimmer at the bottom. On the other side is the barcode for this. So let's just turn this round. Let's see that. Yeah, bang, pretty quick. So we'll go and find that as well. So that's really quite a useful application. You could do it effectively for whatever you wanted. If you've got a barcode, and obviously you can create your own barcodes and own barcode numbers, etc. And I've done that for various demos and also for various customers, then that works really well. So that whole barcode feature is really quite nice. Okay, so let's come out of there. My mouse never works in this thing, so Alt F4. Okay. So that was barcodes. Oh, I don't want to share that. I do want to share that though. Okay, and this is a recap on just how those are set up. Just for demo purposes, actually, you could encode your visual in base64 encode actually, and just have it stored as part of your Power BI report, which is plainly what I'd done earlier. And I did that because I knew people wanted to download that. That was part of I think one of the Pluralsight training courses, and I wanted to provide people with access to the images and a PDF of the barcodes themselves so that they could go and test that out. And that worked very well. Okay. QR codes slightly differently. We say they're generated on a dashboard per tile. It's hidden away where you generate those. I remember looking this up and I couldn't believe what Microsoft have done for this, but we can go and generate them when you are in focus mode. Okay, for a visual. So you have to take your visual, then you have to go into focus mode, then you have to squirrel around a little bit in the user interface, and then you can find, oh, generate QR code. So that's fine. I'll show you that. And for reports, they're generated somewhere completely different. Again, you go to the service, but instead of them being on the share, they're generated per report via the file menu. And again, it navigates to the report page. The generated file name of this QR code is either report or the tile name. So don't call your report one, because then your QR code gets called report one, which is a bit naff for people. Why have QR codes? Well, you can send them around in emails, but more importantly, you can put them in places. You can print them off. You can ruggedize them. You can put them anywhere, and then you will be taken to that report dashboard, or the report itself, or the dashboard. Okay, so let's just go and have a look at that. So For this, we need to nip into the Power BI service. So we should just be able to get Chrome up here. Okay, and let's just go into presentations. That's fine. Let's have a look at this product. So I've got a products dashboard here. Let's say I wanted to generate a QR code for that. Remember, I've got to go into focus mode of whichever visual I want the QR code to be about. Okay, so let's just take total sales, click on total sales, open in focus mode. Okay, so there's my card right in focus mode there. Here on this 3 ellipses, we've got generate QR code. Okay, so typically you download that, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on the screen, open up Connect again. Go to here, go to my smart view, connect up my trusty mobile phone. We could not bothered about favorites anymore. What we want to do is go and check out my camera. You're not going to be able to see this, of course, are you? Oh. And I've hidden everything. Oh, that was, let me just move this. I wonder if I can. Go to your PC and select check action center connect, select to allow input. I'm just wondering if we can do this. Of course, when I did this demo, I wasn't doing this. The action center, that's somewhere up here. Now, I tell you what I'm going to do. That should do it. Yeah, let's do that over there. That should just about work. Okay, hurrah. So camera on here, as you can see. So I'm going to look at my screen and I'm going to go over and have a look at that QR code, and it says tap there to go to report. Okay, and then straight away we're taken, and I'm not pressing any buttons here. It's just taking me through. It's opening the Power BI app, navigating through to that total sales visual. There's my 119 million. And then, you know, I could click back on there and end up actually at the dashboard, which kind of needs a little bit of a refresh to get everything else on there. Okay, so that's the QR code for a dashboard. We can do a very similar thing. Let's just go back into the workspace. And how do I get that for a report? Well, let's just say I wanted to, again, to do it for this sales data report. And I won't demo this in the mobile app because we've not got too much time left. But under File, I've got Generate QR Code, and that will generate a QR code for this report page, or this report in this GUID here, and the report section, which is obviously the page. So again, I could go and download that and email it round or do whatever I wanted to with that. Open it up, print it off, etc., etc. And there's my report with, or there's my, sorry, QR code with the report name on there. Okay, so just Power BI in this case. Sorry, not the report name, the fact it is a Power BI QR code. Okay, so that's how we can play with QR codes and our camera. So, Leon, any questions on that?
No questions at the moment on that, Ben.
No? Okay, cool. All right, because that literally nicely brings us in time to a natural close. Power BI mobile app. If you install it, it will go and cache data for you, so you are able to work offline. Okay, and it should just cache, you know, as I say, on Wi-Fi, it's going to cache your favorited dashboards and your frequent reports, as in ones that you've accessed in the last 2 weeks, every 2 hours or every 24 hours if you are on a data connection. We can collaborate, so we can take screenshots, we can text, we can annotate those, we can send those around via our mobile devices sharing facility. We can also just have collaboration chats with team members. We've got geolocation on there. So if I tag some of my data as being geolocated, I can just say, hey, let's just have a look at the data here. So again, imagine a scenario that I have come across and I'm working on at the moment for somebody is field data. When I say field data, I mean crop data. Okay, so I could be standing in the middle of a field, which has a geolocation on there.
Sorry, Ben, just to jump in there, I believe we'd lost your audio.
Hello.
Yes, we got you back now.
Sorry. We were talking about scanning barcodes, I think.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we can use the camera just to scan barcodes. That scan, of course, then will filter the report just for that barcode or the set of data that's relevant to that barcode. So think about how you could use that, and then we can generate QR code, and that's about, again, providing people with access to our reports, directing them to our reports. So they're not having to type in a big URL or anything like that. They can just literally scan that QR code and be taken directly to report. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I guess back to you, Leon, just to wrap this up and see if we've got anything else to cover off.
Oh, definitely. Well, let me be the first to say absolutely fantastic session there, Ben. I think that we've all taken something away in terms of how we can use Power BI for mobile. Myself, especially from the barcode perspective as well. That was something I hadn't used before. So really, really valuable. We do have some comments that have come in as well. So Abhinav just has expanded on the AR element on the app. He's mentioned that it's interesting. It provides HoloLens use cases for Power BI using an iOS device, and you can pin reports to conference room doors, machines, for machine health with the help of an Azure Spatial, or sure, I should say Azure even, Spatial Anchor account, and linking it to your Power BI as well. So really good use case there.
Sounds interesting. Yeah, it does sound interesting. Yeah, I like the bit around machine health because, again, plenty of times we can be feeding in data in real time around machine health and presenting that on a Power BI report. Just by refreshing that, if we've got a Power BI premium capacity, we can just set up an auto refresh on whether a measure changes, or set it up to change every minute, refresh that page every minute. So that sort of thing could be quite useful, I think.
Definitely some really good use cases there, and we're getting some feedback for your session as well. Mr. Amit says it was a very valuable session, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Amit.
Debbie as well has come on board and said that it was brilliant, so thank you. And we also have another one coming in from Pedro saying thanks, Ben. And finally, we do have a question coming in as well, Ben. And just before I do move to that, we have put in the chat, as always, a link to our Microsoft form for you to be able to give us feedback on the Microsoft Power BI UK user group webinars, and let us know some topics that you want to see in the future as well. So please do feel free to take 10 to 15 seconds is all you need to fill that out and help us continue to grow.
Yeah, and that's really important for all presenters for every session you go to, because we'll modify what we talk about and we'll take your feedback on board, and we'll either do more of the same and greater, or we'll bin it and we'll go and do something else. So if you didn't like it, let us know. If you liked it, let us know.
Exactly. I mean, this is the reason why we're here in the first place, isn't it, to be honest? So couldn't have said it better myself. The last question coming in so far for today is what team in your business makes those report design decisions, and how they engage end users with this?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm a consultant, so I don't have a team. I go out to customers to implement Power BI solutions. Who do I work with? I work with business users who need management information in order to make decisions in the organization. Okay, so which team is it's those people who are generally responsible for producing reports. Engaging end users is quite difficult in some respects because people like, a physical piece of paper. I do, right? No bones about it. Here's my notepad. And probably you can see it there, right? I like a physical piece of paper. But what you have to find is the USP as to why somebody. So you got to find the what's in it for me as to why I should go and have a look at this report. Okay. And what I always say to customers is, let's not take your Excel report, which you currently send around, and just regurgitate that in Power BI and then provide a link to it, because that's valueless. Okay, potentially, well, not necessarily valueless, but potentially we're replacing a bad Excel report with a bad Power BI report. I like to ask customers hard questions and say, what's good about this report? What's bad about it? Which bits do you use? And if we were to put it online, right, what interactivity would you like for it? Okay, so that's kind of how we begin to make those report decisions. We go back and we ask for customers. Okay, as in the not my customers, but my customers, the end users of these reports, because some reports are just they're 20 pages long and people only look at the bottom subtotal. Yeah. And then if they've got a problem, they may then go through the report. Well, why not just give them one big total on a Power BI report and then let them query down if they need to? So you got to find the what's in it for me piece.
Fantastic answer there, Ben. That was really, really well put together. With that being said, that is our last question by the looks of it today. So once again, Ben, I'd really like to thank you for taking your time out and joining us for what has been a fantastic session this evening.
You're very welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Leon, and thank you very much for everybody attending.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll just go ahead and wrap up the show. So thank you, everybody that has joined us as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to come together once again as a community to learn more about Power BI. Please do make sure you join us next week, where we have Robin Satara joining us to tell us about her journey from data analyst to C-suite as well. So really, really looking forward to that session. As always, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you've been here with us at the Microsoft Power BI UK User Group, brought to you in association with Pomerol Partners. Stay safe and see you soon.